This lecture is on sales forecasting. Sales forecasts are your aspirations for the business. It's also your understanding of the key drivers for profit and growth. It's your understanding of ROI for investors and whether or not it fits your investor's profile. You must be able to articulate your rationale and be able to explain how you developed your forecast. There are two methods for forecasting sales: top-down and bottom-up. A top-down forecasting estimates the business revenues starting at the upper level of the market and working down to get the business's revenue. It's typically used when historical data isn't available, like in the case of a startup. There are some key terms that you need to be familiar with to use the top-down method. The first is a TAM, or the total available market. And this is the total market for the product or service, or the maximum revenue that can be earned by everyone in that specific market. A serviceable available market is the percent of the market that could reasonably become customers based on the fit between your offering and the business model. For instance, if your TAM was all of California, your SAM would be San Diego County. Then the last term is a serviceable obtainable market, or a SOM, S-O-M. And that's the percent of the SAM that the business could realistically capture. You're not going to get every customer in the San Diego market. So how do you narrow that down into what is a serviceable obtainable market? Let's do a top-down example. Suppose I have a coffee shop located on MiraCosta's campus, and I'm selling a cup of coffee for $4. My TAM is the total people living in Oceanside, and I found that to be 176,000 people from a 2019 census. My SAM would be the total people who are available to purchase coffee from a shop located on MiraCosta's campus. So we're talking students and employees, and I estimated that about 11,500 by going to MiraCosta's website. So think about this too. If everybody in an Oceanside, if you're not already on campus, you're most likely not going to go to MiraCosta's campus just to buy a cup of coffee. My SOM would be the total people on campus that I could potentially convert into a customer. Did some more research, and I found that in the US, 64% of Americans are coffee drinkers. And the percent of coffee drinkers who buy versus brewing at home is 21%. And this is according to the National Coffee Association's data in 2019. Now, what do we do with this data we've collected? How do we develop our monthly sales forecast for February? Let's look at the calculation. So we have a SAM of 11,500 potential people on campus that could buy a cup of coffee. We're going to multiply that 64% because not everybody drinks coffee. That gives us 7,360 potential customers. But not everyone buys their coffee because some brew at home. We found that 21% actually buy their coffee. So we multiply 7,360 times 21, and we get 1,545 people that are likely to buy coffee. But this doesn't mean the coffee shop is guaranteed 1,545 customers. Some customers will buy their coffee on the way to campus, but I'm estimating that 40% will buy before they get to campus, which means 60% will actually buy on campus. So if we multiply 1,545 times 60%, we get 927 potential customers. I'm also estimating that not all 927 will buy from my coffee shop, and that 50% will actually buy from the other coffee shop located on campus. So 927 times 50% equals 463 realistic customers that I think I can obtain. We multiply 463 by my $4 cup of coffee, and it equals $1,852 of daily coffee revenue. My example set up the month of February, where there's roughly 20 days of operation, because I'm not going to be open on weekends because there's probably very little student population there on the weekends. So if we multiply $1,852 times 20 days, we get $37,040 for February's revenue. Notice I picked February. You'd have to calculate the average number of days you'd be open in January, given that the semester starts the third week of the month. So if your business is at all uneven like that, or has periods of up and downs, perhaps due to the weather or holidays, make sure you're taking that in consideration too. The second forecasting method is bottom-up. A bottom-up forecast projects revenue based on the number of customers we think we can acquire with our marketing strategy and the amount they are willing to pay. It's more credible than top-down, and it is the preferred method. Let's work through the same example, but this time we're going to go bottom-up. So we observed the other coffee shop on campus and found, on average, 60 customers leave per hour. Using a bottom-up approach, I'm going to assume I can take half their customers. So that means I'll have 30 customers. We'll be open for 10 hours. So we're going to multiply then by 10 hours times 20 days a week. We'll have 6,000 cups of coffee sold times $4 equals $24,000 in monthly revenue for February. Let's recap. Top down, I came up with $37,400. Bottom up, I came up with only $24,000. Why the difference? Well, typically, bottom up is based on historical data. So in our example, we witnessed an actual coffee shop on campus. This is better than using statistical averages because it takes into consideration the nuances specific to the MiraCosta market, and that's why it's the preferred method. So where do you find market research to forecast sales? As I did, a simple Google search. The state, city, county websites are great resources for demographic data. Sandag is also a great website for San Diego County. They have a resources section there on the left-hand side you can click on. The U.S. Census Bureau is another resource that you can gain demographic information from. Contact professional organizations. OpenFran is another great resource, and that's open franchise data. So if you're thinking of opening a coffee shop, you might look at similar coffee sales for Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, or you can talk to current or former business owners. Now, I wouldn't go down and talk to the MiraCosta coffee house that was going to be my competitor, and I probably wouldn't go to Palomar College and talk to their coffee house either. I might go up to another community college, maybe up north into Orange County, somebody that they know we want to be a competitor. You can also give target market surveys or questionnaires. But make sure you do keep track of your resources and include this as the last page of your business plan, like in a references section. This gives credibility to your plan and lets the reader know the material presented was thoroughly researched and based on sound reasoning. Some final thoughts. The forecast is a guess based on the entrepreneur's prediction. The entrepreneur must be able to articulate their reasoning behind the numbers. Sales forecast is displayed in the business plan's financial section on the income statement. A narrative describing the approach used and the reasoning is also included in the financial section. This concludes the lecture on sales forecasting.